Miles Way tells police. Dylan has something he shouldn't have, a hidden recording services. The police station was buzzing, cameras flashing outside like angry fireflies as Miles Way stepped through the glass doors, jaw clenched, his left knuckle still split from the explosive fight with Dylan Wong hours earlier. His entire posture screamed urgency, but his eyes, bloodshot, frantic, wild, held something much deeper. Fear. Not for himself. Not for Dylan. But for Shunyu. Beside him, the officers guiding him kept exchanging looks. They weren't used to celebrity scandals exploding this violently. Most stars fought with carefully worded posts, indirect shade, or agency-managed statements. But this was fists, bruises, broken property, screams echoing through studio hallways. And now, police involvement. As Miles approached the front counter, he inhaled sharply, gripping the edge with unsteady fingers. His voice cracked under the weight of whatever truth had been eating him alive since the confrontation. I need to report something. Dylan Wong has something he shouldn't have. The officers froze mid-motion. Miles didn't blink. He didn't breathe. He was done covering things up. The same night, hours before the police station, the fight between Dylan and Miles wasn't just a heated exchange. It was an eruption waiting to explode. Shunyu had been filming her final emotional scene for the night. The production studio was quiet except for the echo of her footsteps as she walked off set, exhausted but relieved, ready to remove her makeup and call it a night. She didn't know Dylan Wong was waiting for her behind the stairwell. She didn't know Miles had overheard a piece of a conversation he was never meant to hear. She didn't know the two men were seconds away from tearing the studio apart. Shunyu stepped into the hallway just as Miles stormed toward Dylan, shoving him back so violently that Dylan slammed into the metal racks stacked with props. The crash ripped through the silence like a gunshot. Miles, stop. Shunyu gasped, rushing toward them. But Miles wasn't listening. He lunged again. And this time, Dylan didn't step back. He fought back. Punches flew, raw, unchoreographed, vicious. Dylan's elbow struck Miles' jaw. Miles tackled him to the ground. The crew screamed, running toward them. But the studio seemed to transform into something primal, unstoppable. It wasn't a celebrity disagreement anymore. This was personal, dangerous. Something dark reconnecting two people who were once co-workers, now enemies. Say it. Miles roared as he pinned Dylan's shirt to the concrete floor. Give it back and stay away from her. Shunyu grabbed Miles' arm, tears spilling despite her trembling composure. Miles, please, she begged. Stop, you're going to kill each other. But Miles didn't release him. Not until Dylan choked out a breathless, furious laugh, bloody lip and all. She didn't tell you, did she? The hallway froze. Shunyu's knees weakened. Miles felt the world drop several floors beneath him. Dylan smirked through the pain, wiping blood from the corner of his mouth. I'm not giving anything back. She should have destroyed it the moment she realized what was on it. Those words lit the fuse that sent everything spiraling. Miles lunged again. Shunyu screamed. Security dragged them apart. In the chaos, in the panic, in the confusion, Shunyu slipped away, crying silently as she hid behind the van outside the building. And that was exactly why Miles went to the police. He wasn't afraid of the fight. He wasn't afraid of a scandal. He was afraid of what Dylan was holding, and why Shunyu never told him. Back at the police station, the statement inside the dim investigation room, Miles pressed trembling hands against the table. The fluorescent lights flickered above him, making his shadow twitch on the wall like a restless ghost. The officer across from him opened a notebook. Mr. Wei, you said Dylan Wong has something he shouldn't have. What exactly? Miles swallowed, throat tight. A storm flashed behind his eyes. It's a video, he whispered. A recording. Something he got from Shunyu's old phone. The officer's brows shot up. Do you have proof? Miles nodded slowly, breathing as if the air was too heavy for his lungs. There's more, he said. A security recording from tonight. Someone leaked it to me anonymously. His fingers shook as he slid his phone across the desk. The officer pressed play. The room fell into stunned silence. The hidden recording, begins a grainy hallway. Barely visible lighting. A shadow pacing, too tall to be Shinyu, too tense to be a stranger. The figure turned slightly. It was Dylan. He was holding a phone. No, not his phone. Shinyu's damaged backup phone, the one she had mentioned losing 2 months ago. And then his voice. Chilling. Calculated. Completely different from the Dylan the world believed they knew. She thinks she can hide this forever.
She has no idea what I found.
If Miles sees it, everything ends. The officer paused the video, stunned. Miles leaned forward, voice cracking. There's something on that phone. Something Shinyu desperately wanted to bury. And Dylan is using it to control her. The officer exchanged glances with his partner. What do you believe is on the device? Miles wiped a hand down his face. I don't know, he admitted. But I know Shinyu. I know her fear. And whatever she saw, it terrified her enough to hide it from everyone. He took a shuddering breath. Tonight, she begged me not to tell the police. But I can't protect her if I don't know what we're protecting her from. He pressed his palms together, eyes glassy.
Please.
Find him before he disappears with it. The reveal that changed everything. Minutes later, a knock interrupted the tension, and a young officer stepped in, whispering urgently into the lead investigator's ear. Miles watched, their faces pale. What happened? He asked, voice shaky. The officer hesitated but finally spoke. We just received footage from a street camera near the studio. He swallowed. Shinyu was followed after she left the building. Someone was tracking her. Miles bolted to his feet.
What?
Who? The officer didn't answer. Because the next sentence hit harder than any punch Dylan had thrown. We believe Dylan wasn't working alone. Miles' heart stopped. His voice dropped to a whisper. Where is Shinyu now? The officer exhaled slowly. We don't know. Miles froze. Then the room spun. His pulse roared in his ears. Not this again. Not another disappearance nightmare like before. Not when Dylan had something belonging to her, something dangerous enough to start a war between them. He slammed his fist onto the table. Find her, he shouted. His voice echoed down the hallway. Shinyu's unknown secret wasn't just resurfacing, it was hunting her. And someone else was helping it find her. The interrogation room was too quiet, so quiet that even the hum of the fluorescent light seemed like a scream trapped inside the walls. Miles sat there, elbows on the table, hands trembling just enough for the officer across from him to notice. His knuckles were scraped. His shirt was still damp from the rain and from Dylan Wong's fists. But none of that was the reason for the fear shaking through him. It was what Dylan had taken. It was what Dylan now knew. And it was what Miles had heard on that recording. The officer tried to keep a calm tone. Mr. Wei, earlier you said Dylan Wong is in possession of something dangerous. Something he shouldn't have. What exactly do you mean? Miles swallowed hard, eyes burning with exhaustion and adrenaline. He leaned forward, voice low but sharp enough to cut through the silence. He has the recording. The officer frowned. What recording? Miles closed his eyes for a second, as if replaying the moment that changed everything. He could still hear Shinyu's voice, the panic, the shaking breaths, the words she never intended anyone else to hear. It's a voice message, Miles said. A private one. Something Shinyu recorded the night she was attacked, the night she didn't tell anyone the full truth. The officer stiffened. Attacked? You mean the masked intruder incident? Miles nodded. She said she saw the attacker's face. She recognized him. She said she knew who sent him. His breath hitched. But she deleted the message before I could stop her. She didn't want anyone to hear it. The room went dead silent. The officer leaned forward. And Dylan Wong has that message now. Miles nodded again, shame and rage twisting together in his chest.
Yes.
He got it from her phone. She doesn't even know he took it. He paused, eyes darkening. And it's not just what she said. It's who she named. The officer felt the weight of those words immediately. He picked up his pen, but didn't write anything. Why would Dylan want the recording? Miles clenched his fists. Because he thinks he can protect her better than anyone else. Because he's obsessed. because he's convinced she's in danger and he's the only one who can save her. A bitter laugh escaped his throat. And because he thinks I'm the danger. The officer's pen dropped. What do you mean? Miles lifted his head slowly, meeting the officer's eyes. Because Shinyu confessed something in that recording, something she never meant to admit. She said she was afraid the danger was coming from someone close. Someone on set. His eyes watered, not with weakness, but with fury. Dylan heard the message and decided that person was me. The officer sat back, now fully understanding the gravity of the situation. You fought him today, didn't you? The officer asked. Miles nodded. He confronted me in the parking lot. He said I didn't deserve her. He said he was taking her away until everything was safe again. Miles's voice cracked slightly. He punched me first. I wasn't going to hit him, but then he said something that made me lose it. The officer braced himself. What did he say? Miles's jaw tightened. He said Shinyu begged him not to tell the truth because she didn't trust me. Silence fell again, thicker this time, like a storm cloud settling in the room. Miles wiped a hand over his face. But that's not the worst part. He inhaled shakily. When he shoved me against the wall, something fell out of his pocket. The officer blinked. What? Miles whispered it. A flash drive. The officer felt his pulse spike. You're saying the recording isn't on her phone, it's on a separate device? Yes. Miles nodded. He transferred it. He's been listening to it, studying it, replaying it like it's proof of something. He closed his eyes again, and when I reached for it, he stepped on my hand and said something I will never forget. The officer waited. Miles finally spoke. He said, if the police hear this, Shinyu's life will get worse, not better. The officer stood from his chair, the weight of the situation suddenly doubling. Miles, do you think Dylan intends to use the recording against her? Miles shook his head slowly. Not against her. Against everyone else. He thinks the only way to save her is to expose whoever she named. His fingers tightened around the edge of the table. But he's acting reckless, emotional, dangerous. And the person she named, he hesitated. Yes, the officer pushed. Miles whispered. It wasn't me. It wasn't Dylan. It wasn't anyone from the cast. He looked up, fear flickering in his eyes. It was someone from her past. Someone she said she was terrified to face again. The officer felt cold. Who exactly did she name? Miles lowered his voice to a whisper. A man called Han Chilin. The officer froze. He knew that name. Everyone in the higher investigation unit did. A man with a sealed record. A man connected to 3 previous incidents that were never proven but whispered about. A man who disappeared from Shinyu's life years ago, right before she started avoiding certain cities, certain events, certain people. You're absolutely sure she said his name? The officer asked quietly. Miles nodded. That's why Dylan is spiraling, Miles continued. He thinks Han Chilin is back. He thinks the attack, the stalking, the hidden camera were all connected. And now he has the only proof Shinyu never wanted anyone to hear. The officer exhaled sharply. And where is Dylan now? Miles looked down at the table. I don't know. The lights buzzed overhead. Then the door burst open. Another officer leaned in, face pale. Sir, we have a situation. What is it? The officer swallowed. A new video just leaked online about 2 minutes ago. His voice shook. It shows Dylan Wong standing outside Shinyu's apartment building, holding a flash drive, saying he's about to expose the truth. Miles shot out of his chair so fast it scraped the floor. His breathing quickened, panic firing through him like electricity. He wouldn't, no, he wouldn't do that. He'll put her in more danger. The officer grabbed Miles's arm. You need to stay here. Miles yanked away. No. You don't understand. His voice broke. If he plays that recording, if he says Han Chilin's name publicly, Shinyu's life won't just be in danger. His voice shook violently. It'll be over.